I hope so. I hope there was a lesson learned there, because if the Ravens are looking at the game tape going, I wonder if we can something like that off, or maybe they already do run something similar. I'm not sure. But KJ Wright, talking this morning with Brock and Salk, explained, in his opinion, what went wrong with the screen to Njoku.
And then Coach Hurt is looking like, okay, we're in zone. They got us. Let me call some man-to-man. Let me get up tight on these guys.
Yep.
And then they run the screen to Njoku, where he blocks, then release. And so if you're in man-to-man, this is football one-on-one, and your guy blocks, you immediately have to go and hug up that guy. You cannot sit back. You immediately have to go to your coverage and don't create any space. Because if you get blocked and you're man-to-man on the tight end, he's running for 30 to 40 yards.
Yep.
And so
It's amazing.
So that didn't happen.
Well, look, what happened was on the first two screens, they were in zone. So, and I think it's better to be in man-to-man in those situations because you see your running back, you're watching him, he acts like he's blocking, and then he flares out. You get a feel for it, and then all of a sudden, in the flash of in front of you, you see offensive linemen going that way. And I got to say that the second one, which went for, I think one went for like 9, and one went for like 20. Or 41.
Oh, yeah, it was 71 total yards in the 3 plays.
And then when one went for 20. So on the 40-yard one, 4 fat offensive linemen are bleeding off into the flat. Like, you should notice that. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's very visible, and that's something that you should recognize. When 4 of the 5 offensive linemen start running towards the sideline, it's obviously a screen. So that was just a bad recognition. I would say, on the touchdown where Njoku just kind of bleeds out, he sets up as a blocker, and that's what was so genius about it. They had 3 offensive linemen go over to the right, and then he was sitting there so if you have that guy man-to-man, you check him off, go, nope, he's a blocker. So that's what was so well designed about it, because it looked like, Bobby had him man-to-man, and I probably would have done the same thing, checked him off, because, look, he's blocking, and then he releases really late. So that one, to me, there's some plays that you look at and go, okay, I'll give him that one. To me, that is a really well-designed play. You executed it perfectly. That ball was about 3 inches away from being tipped by a defensive tackle, and you just got us. So, I mean, I'm okay on that one. But the other one where 4 big fat guys are running towards the sidelines, there's no excuse for that. So, yeah, I mean, those things are something you learn. But, again, that's something that happened in a win, not in a loss.
KJ talked about the Ravens probably looking at that and looking to do the same thing with their tight ends.
And so let's understand this. This is a copycat league. I'm sure the Baltimore Ravens, some way, somehow, is going to draw up a play, draw up a screen. Let's see if this Seahawks defense figured this out. Let's see if we can sneak out Justice Hill in the flats and get another 30 yards on him. And so Mark Andrews is over there. They're going to have some special design plays for him as well.
So he feels like, they will try it. And why not? I mean, you try it, doesn't work. Okay.
Yeah.
They've done homework on it, or they haven't. Let's find out.
Well, and we'll get into the Ravens later. That guy, Mark Andrews, I mean, he's probably one of the better kept secrets in the NFL. Really good tight end. So it's almost like they don't need to use him in a screen or a deception play to get him the ball. But, yeah, they'll probably see it. So, but also the Browns know that the Seahawks are probably working on that, right?
Yeah.
And so since they got him, it wouldn't be more glaring. 3 plays in a row, 70 whatever yards. I mean, that and a touchdown. Yeah, they're aware. So it's kind of always an interesting little cat and mouse game there.
One more from KJ, and we'll move on to some of his thoughts on Geno. But here he is just talking about whether he thinks the Seahawks' aggressive nature, they want to be aggressive on defense, talking about whether that leaves more vulnerable to screen passes like we saw in this game.
That is on. I've never been an offensive coordinator, but I'm sure they're thinking this team is going to blitz. They're going to bring a Jamal, a Devin Witherspoon. Let's slow their behinds down with some screens. And the worst thing for you is when you know you're in man-to-man coverage and you see it developing, but you have 2 offensive linemen in your face. And you're like, dang, they got me. You're like, they got me. And so the best thing you can do right there is just hold off until the troops get there. Do a dance, block. Don't just shoot and take your shot. Don't do that. Only Jamal Adams can do that, make that play. But for everyone else, buy time for the troops to come, for the stack monsters, and what we call it the stack monsters, the defensive linemen coming out of the stack to get to the screen.
Yeah, he's funny. It's funny you said that about Jamal Adams. I would say Devin Witherspoon also can do that. He has a knack for being able to dip under a block and get behind it kind of and that's the thing where as a defender you are, especially if you're a DB or a linebacker, you have an advantage there. Those offensive linemen, and look, offensive linemen are better athletes than most people, okay? But on the field, they're not. And if you get a little defensive back or a guy like Jamal Adams, he can slip behind him and try to make a play that way, which is a good way to do it. So, yeah, I think that's something they're probably going to see. And the other thing about a screenplay, one last thing, is that it gives you more time, your quarterback more time to find those guys, because it's kind of a 3-step, 4-step drop, and then they sort of bleed back a little bit more. So it gives you like an extra 5 yards before the pass rush gets there, and then, find a little passing lane to get to either your receiver or your running back. So, but the main theme to me is that they were able to absorb those 3 plays, even though it ended up in 7 points, and they're highly aware of it. So it's a good thing something like that happens early in the season.